Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. I've got a great guest with me today, Jen Sidorova. She's a Young Voices contributor and a policy analyst at the Reason Foundation. Jen, thanks for coming on the show.
Good to be here.
So I had you on today to talk about the CDC's Eviction Moratorium, which is a wonky, kind of obscure policy, but it's affected millions of Americans' lives. You're actually a landlord, right? So can you tell us about your situation and how this has impacted you?
Yeah, definitely. My story is a story of an immigrant, right? I came to this country when I was 18 years old, and one of the first places that I was able to call home was the area around Niagara Falls, around Buffalo. I made a friend at a summer camp, and that girl just took me home for the rest of the summer, and that family became kind of like my host American family, and that's like that feeling, that what made me feel home in this country. So then now it's been over 10 years now, but and my career took me places, but now I'm back. I decided in 2019, I decided to go back to Buffalo and build my home here. And so as many millennials, I wasn't able to afford a single family property, but what I chose to do instead, and what's actually pretty popular thing to do in Buffalo, is to buy a multifamily property and then live in one of the units and then rent out the rest. So I bought a 4-unit property. I got a mortgage, of course, and I was living in one and renting out the 3 rental units. And it's really like it's bigger than that, because for me, that's what for me is to make America great again, right? We take those neighborhoods in decline, we move in and we make them better. We renovate the properties, we make them both affordable for the community and just pleasant, right? And so I was on this path until the eviction moratorium. And now, 2 of my tenants moved out. And for one of them, I actually had to give them money so they leave. I had to basically bail out my own property because they knew that they could stay and not pay. But yeah, they left now, and then the others moved out. I have one tenant that is still paying, but for the 2 units that are vacant, I'm actually not renting them out. And I think that's another problem, that a lot of landlords are going to hold their units because there's no way in hell I can afford supporting other people, especially because I also have to pay the utilities, right? And keep up the properties. It's not just the mortgage.
And one of the reasons that we have high rents in a lot of cities, and we have a supply problem. We have rent control laws and zoning regulations that limit the ability to create new housing supply. And this is basic economics. When you have a constrained supply, but increasing demand, prices go up. Do you think that this kind of eviction, putting landlords on notice that if you rent out your properties, well, we might come in and declare them, allowing people to occupy them without paying, do you think that will, in the long run, discourage people from getting into becoming a landlord and reduce the supply of rental housing, making this whole problem worse?
Yes, and you're exactly right, because as I've already kind of alluded to that, I am holding off my rental properties because the worst thing is that they are being occupied and the tenants are not paying. And I think I'm also part of a lot of the Facebook groups for landlords and all of that. I talk to my community of landlords.
You're leaving them just empty?
I'm leaving them empty, yeah.
Wow. So this policy is literally encouraging landlords, financial incentive to just leave apartments empty rather than rent them out.
Yeah, it's a better strategy for me to leave them empty than renting them out for no pay. It's just the risk. I cannot run this risk. In my property in particular, I also pay tenants utilities. So I would be on the hook for not just the rent, but also utilities. And obviously I can't afford that. And then you still have to maintain them when they're being utilized. It's just the economics of it doesn't match up.